Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon or good evening and good data morning to you. My name is George.
And I am Diana.
And welcome on our show. It's amazing to have you here. Now, if you're, just joining, it's a show about good data, bad data, all things data, good data management practices, good data governance practices, tools, techniques, learnings, takeaways, a lot of great things, but also good chuckles and lots of fun. And today, it might be a little bit different because we have a special, wonderful guest on the show that we're going to introduce in a little while. And we're going to review and go over some really fun data cartoons that he's the author of. So I don't think you see this very often, but once you do, you will want to have some of these cartoons in front of you all the time. I know I will want to have them on my mouse pad. Some I definitely want to have them on my wallpaper. They're that fun. So we're definitely going to go over a few of those. And you know what? The last one that I'm going to share, it's going to definitely be my favorite. Maybe Diana's too.
I think so.
But definitely my favorite. We're also going to try and do some, a bit of voiceover for these cartoons, just in case there are some of you that are listening instead of watching. But anyways, we're gonna try and be funny with them. And good morning from India. Wow, all the way from India and Saudi Arabia. I can't believe it. We're having people from all over the place. It's wonderful to have you and join this show. And let's bring on our first guest of the show, Piotr Kononov. Piotr, welcome.
Welcome, Piotr.
Hi, George. Hi, Diana. It's great to be here.
It's great having you. Tell us where you are from.
I'm in Gdańsk, in Poland, so in the very middle of Europe.
Beautiful.
So it's afternoon, actually. It's not the morning for me.
Yes. Still, you have quite a bit of sunlight left, which is nice.
Oh, yes.
Summer is still going. And we have people from Chicago. We have people from Toronto. Hello, fellow Canadian. North Carolina, Ontario. People are just streaming in, coming in from all over the world, it seems. And a few from India, France, fellow European there. Hi, everybody. Good afternoon, good morning. And hi, Ravid. It's so nice to see you here. Thank you so much for joining the show. So, Piotr, I've known you for a little while. We've worked together, collaborated a little bit, and I really admire your work. And there are two aspects to your work. Well, there are a lot of aspects to your work, but there are two that I want to talk to you about today. One is the fact that you are the CEO of Dataido. Would you like us to tell us a little bit about that? What is Dataido and why did you start it?
Sure. First of all, I'm not just the CEO, I'm also a founder. So we said there are two aspects of my work. As a entrepreneur and founder, there are like million aspects of my work, and cartoonist is just one of them, and CEO it's another. So yeah, I was a data architect and BI developer for a while. I started my career as a BI architect back in 2005, I suppose, and I was working with data for a couple of years, and we always struggled. When you build a data warehouse, you always have the version 1, and then when you need to develop it or maintain it, you always ask the questions. I mean, is this field already in the data warehouse, or I see this field and this value, where does it come from? What does it mean? So without documentation, very quickly you become blind and ineffective. And we really thought without documentation, it's impossible to build another report, add another field, or actually maintain those reports. So we spent some time building just a simple tool that will help us automate the documentation, because doing this manually it's really difficult. So we did some automation on that. Then we had another project, and we also used the same functionality. And we thought if we're going to spend time, then other companies would like to spend some dollars and buy the product. That's how it became in 2013.
Beautiful. And I do encourage everybody to go and check it out. It's dataido.com. please go in there and just go for a free trial. You guys, I think, are offering right now a 14-day trial that anybody can sign up for, no strings attached, but it's definitely something that I would encourage everybody to go and try it out for themselves, as it's something, I think we have quite a few data analysts, data scientists in here too. This is definitely a tool that they would very much need in order to understand more of the data that they will be and are working with.
That's correct. Everyone working with data should have some kind of documentation of the data. DataIdo is one tool. It's very affordable and very easy to start with, but I believe everyone should be able to find data and understand what it is. It's not self-explanatory. So
yes, very well said. All right. So, and what about the second thing that I know you for is the fact that you were a cartoonist. You do enjoy drawing. How long have you done it for?
I would like to interject here if possible. First of all, I'm very happy to finally meet you, Piotr. I heard so many things about you from George. And when it comes to the cartoons, before you tell us where you got this idea from, I wanted to say that I come from the business side rather than from the data side. So sometimes before I met George, this aspect of the business was not something that was very close to my heart or very known. And what I appreciate with what you do with the cartoons, what George does with his content, what Susan Walsh does and Scott Taylor, the fact that you make data approachable, funny, and then you bring people on your side. You get their buy-in. And I really appreciate that. If you can answer the question where this brilliant idea came from.
Thank you very much. I'm really happy people like the cartoons. For me, it was just fun. I don't know. Partly it was fun. I think, George, you asked me how did I started it. Well, I started in the school, and on the last page of my my book, I always drew some silly stuff rather than paying attention to the lessons. So it started a long time ago. Yeah. So then, when we started DataIdo, we had to make the message across somehow, and it was, I don't know when it came to me, but it was natural. The way to share the message in non-conventional way, funny way. That seemed like a good idea. I had nothing to lose actually, and the adoption reception of the cartoons are pretty well. I'm really surprised, and it makes me really happy that it's relevant for people. If it's funny, it's even better. But people tell me those things are relevant.
Yeah, so, I think I relate. I see myself in a lot of those cartoons for sure. And I look forward to, I heard that you were going to have a book coming up soon. I look forward to having that, in my bookcase and next to my desk. And I look forward to go through it. That's going to be fun. Now,
maybe we can just show where our listeners and watchers can find the cartoons, the link.
Absolutely. So what we're going to show you now, you're definitely going to be able to go see at dataido.com/cartoon. But without further ado, let's just go into the content. We have, a handful of hand-picked cartoons that we're going to go over, and Diana's going to try and do a little bit of voiceover and description. Yes, that's gonna be something interesting and new. So let's start with this one.
Well, in this one, we see a caveman who is at the door of the cave and comes in, sees his partner, his wife, his cave woman, drawing things on the wall and things of how they hunt, which is probably the process which they use to hunt. And he says,
"Hey, what are you doing?"
And she answers, "I thought I'd document our key processes."
This one really makes me chuckle quite a bit. It's brilliant, and I think that if cavemen wouldn't have documenting their processes really early on, maybe we wouldn't have documented ours now, or we wouldn't be here today if they wouldn't have passed on, this wisdom, knowledge through process documentation.
We wouldn't have internet, right? We wouldn't have anything. And this one came to me when I thought, how did documentation started? And I think it started I even think that the writing comes from the need to actually document what you're doing. So yeah, that exactly.
That's that's a very good point. Now we're going to ask the audience, do you feel you're more of a caveman, cavewoman, regardless of the gender, but do you feel that you are documenting processes or wondering why people from your organizations are documenting processes? Do you think documenting a process is necessary? Have you, benefited from a process being documented so far? And, how, from 1 to 10 of how much importance would you give it? Anyways, we're going to wait for the comments to roll in. But this was really one of my favorites. Not the favorite. I'm going to leave that one for last. And I think there were quite a few cartoons that I really enjoyed, but we only have half an hour for the show. So there's not enough time. And I see some of the comments come in.
Hanane,
thank you. She sees herself as cavewoman or cavewomen. And I don't know, for some reason, sometimes your name is not showing up here. I wonder why. Maybe there's a LinkedIn glitch, most likely. But thank you so much for commenting, nevertheless. So quite a few are coming in for cavewoman, another one here. All right. So good. I think a lot of us really identify with the cavewoman as well. It's... Yes. Documenting processes is definitely important. So we got to keep on doing it, right? All right. Now, the next one here, and by the way, just a reminder, if you want to go and see these ones yourself, you can just go to datadata.com/cartoon and check it out for yourself. This next one, we see a man sitting in a chair overlooking skyscrapers, probably the downtown area, seeing a huge, billboard poster, humongous, probably the size of a couple of skyscrapers there, showing a database schema. Why? Because it really takes so much space to document everything. And he says, well, that was a good idea. Now I see it. Because the truth of the matter is, a lot of these organizations, even, just mid-sized organizations, they have thousands of tables. I know for us in our own department, we have a database that probably has about 35,000 tables, believe it or not. So imagine trying to model and document all of that. It would be insane, right? And obviously even the software developer of the CRM that we are using probably hasn't documented everything either. And I think the good question here, or maybe the hard question is, how much is too much? When do you stop documenting? What would you Piotr, what would you recommend that people would start documenting first?
Well, first of all, I would never advise to try doing everything in one jump. It's impossible. You would get frustrated. It won't be possible. Well, the idea for this cartoon came from the request of many of our customers that would like to create a diagram for the entire database. And that's what came to my mind when I hear that. As you said, some of the databases have tens of thousands of tables. You will see absolutely nothing, and it will give you no information. So I always advise, have a really small, quick advice. Pick an area, subject area in your database, and then document it and create a diagram. Never try to do it in one jump. It will get you nowhere. Yeah.
That's a very good tip. I also want to bring a couple of comments that Saurabh was mentioning, that documentation helps human beings to pass information from generation to generation, and I can't agree more. And it also definitely in our own world, it also helps people pass on that baton on, from one job to another, from one position to another, from one project to another. So it's definitely something that is very valuable, much needed. And I hope that, management will continue supporting it, though it always seems to be an afterthought, right? That documentation piece, if we're talking about code documentation, if we're talking about documenting our, analytical model, if we're talking about documenting our data, and even our processes. Maybe processes get a little bit higher up than everything else, but in general, it's something that we do, after the fact, that it's something like, oh, okay, now I have to do this as well. And
because it's never urgent.
It's
it is
never
important,
urgent.
But it is never urgent, and it's not a priority on a person's plate in the morning when they come to work.
And you don't see the value of it right away, right? But it is, in the long term, it really pays off dividends immensely. But anyhow, so back to the data model diagram here. I'm wondering, in your organization, do you have a data modeler? Do you have a person that's dedicated to just do data models, or is it something on the side of the desk that some of you do? Very, very interesting to know. And Ravi, thank you so much for the comment. I don't know if I'm a great storyteller. It's my first time, to be honest, so bear with me here. I'm trying out. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to try and do a bit of different voices, but I'm not Scott Taylor either.
But the cartoon helps too.
The cartoon is doing everything, right? And they say that a picture or a cartoon, it's 1,000 words. So it's all Piotr for sure. Yeah. So yeah, and I think you have a couple of cartoons kind of playing with this idea, the fact that hey, you can't really document everything, nor you should. And if you do, then it's going to occupy a lot of space for sure. I do remember working with this one consultancy, and they were brought in for this, oil and gas companies to document, part of their data marts. And it really did seem as if once they printed it, they wanted to lay it out, put it there for the CDO to see it and kind of see the work that they have done, and they felt it was more visually striking if they actually printed, posted it on the board. And obviously it did not fit the board. It kind of fit maybe almost the entire wall. And the tables were so minuscule anyways, you couldn't really read anything, but it was kind of just showing, oh, this is all the work that we have done. And the CDO was like, okay, well, so how is this helping us? Why did you do all this work? And, there were some pauses in there, a bit of confusion. The truth of the matter is, in a way, they actually documented a bit too much, because they documented even things that it was not considered critical data or valuable data. Not that, everything really has a relationship to one another and everything has a dependency to one another. But, when is it useful to see all of this, right? So to the CDO, some of the money seemed to not be well spent for sure. And Hanani was mentioning that, no, they don't have a data modeler, and a lot of people don't. I think a lot of people, yes, it is something that is on the side of the desk, and it's sort of another thing that somebody needs to do. But okay, I think we need to move on to the next cartoon. As time is ticking. And for this one, I'll let Diana go over it.
So change the question. So this is one of my favorites, I think. This is exactly how business decisions should be made at the fortune teller. And Piotr, I will ask you something here, because George and I had a disagreement. So I think that those two people, they're people from the business side that come to the data expert and ask what a table contains. So we would like to know what TRX, RCV, INV, AVG table holds, which is, of course, very hard to pronounce, very hard to identify. I have no idea what this table is about. And this is the whole idea of the cartoon, right? It tells you that it's not self-explanatory, that it's like going to the fortune teller to find information and the right table and the right information. And George was saying that these two guys are actually data people who come to the fortune teller because they don't know either where to find.
George wins. That's actually my story, because this name is almost identical to the tables I was working with. They always look like this, and you have absolutely no idea what it means, because it doesn't translate to the business, because those are some generic tables. And at some point you could equally, it's the best option to go to fortune teller to tell you, because you have no idea, no other means. I mean, so your last chance to figure out. For me it's relevant because that's how I felt a lot of times, in a lot of occasions, and I believe many people feel the same way.
Exactly, and there's so many tables that are meaningless. I mean, to the end user, in terms of the naming convention, it's undescribable, right? I mean, instead of, a simple one would be just the address table, and you would write it as ADDR or address, but sometimes they write it like this, TRX, RSV, whatever that internal naming convention is. And I think a great example is the SAP, that when you look at their table names, you don't understand anything. What's going on there? You really need an expert, somebody that has worked with that for a long time to be able to point you into the right direction if you don't have a data dictionary, if you don't have a tool in place.
But isn't that the point? That you need a data expert and hire someone from them to help you?
It could be. I think I had a blog post about why this is the case. There are a few reasons. One of this, the vendor, for instance, doesn't want. They want to be needed all the time.
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons.
And please let us know what VAT_WS is.
Yeah.
I wonder, is that a tax? Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe. Okay.
We can have fortune teller. We have a fortune teller now.
He's a consultant, aren't you?
Yes. Is an Oracle consultant.
Great.
There, that's your next data cartoon, Piotr. Oracle consultant. So the Oracle from Delphi. Right.
Okay.
So, by the way, if you do have any recommendations for Piotr, I'm sure he will be happy to take them on and, sketch some ideas if any good ones come his way. So please just put it in the comments there. I'll make sure to pass them on to him if you do have any. Or, just go on his website, and I'm sure they have a contact form there, and you can just use that to contact them. And
live chat, for instance. A majority of those, many of them, those cartoons are from conversations with customers. They tell me something, and it gives me just an image, and then I go and draw the image. So
awesome. All right. Okay. We have a couple more that I want to show, and we're running out of time. And I think this could really go for at least an hour, this show alone, just going over these data cartoons, because they're so fun and insightful too. So this next one, oh, sorry. Mouse scrolled. So really, where do you keep your data? We see really in a farm setting, we see 3 silos, as one does, one with wheat, one with corn, and one with data. And as Piotr is mentioning, right? I mean, yes, it does look like a database for sure, but a silo is not a good place to keep your data.
Yeah, but many companies do keep their data in silos.
So many, and do you have data silos? You watching right now, do you have any data silos? Are you keeping your data in silos? And I would just take a guess and say that, yes, you do. And if you don't, maybe it's because you don't know of it yet, which is another unfortunate side effect of having storing data in silos for sure. And Betsy, by the way, sorry, I'm jumping in because some comments are coming in a little bit later, but Betsy is recommending a sketch with Sherlock Holmes, and actually you do have one with Sherlock Holmes.
Yes, I do have.
So please, Betsy, please go on the dataida.com/cartoons, and you'll be able to find the one with Sherlock Holmes, and let us know if you did enjoy it.
Yeah.
If I have time, I'll look it up really quickly. Yes. And Dan Hill here on the previous cartoon was pointing out a few other table names like Mara, VBAP, STPO. Yeah, it's not obvious what they hold for sure. Right. So back to our data silos here. It's definitely a bad idea. It's hard. And again, this is another reason why you would need that data dictionary, why a business glossary also helps, and of course a data catalog to kind of tie everything back together.
Yeah.
But because we only have 5 minutes, I want to go over really one of my favorites. Okay, so here it is. This is one of my favorite cartoons. And by the way, it's not the only one, but one of my favorites.
Ta-da.
Ta-da, the no retreat, no surrender. So Piotr Cartoons here is really pointing out an important part of history. And this is depicting the battle from Thermopylae. Probably, I'm not sure I pronounced it properly, Piotr.
I don't know. Most people know this from the movie 300. So
see, I learned this in history in university. It's what was one of my passions. And at that time, by the way, the professor said, "Hey, the movie 300 is going to come out in a few years. You got to go and watch it." But yes, it's from the movie 300 or from history. It's when the Persians, thousands of Persian soldiers were fighting the Greeks and the Spartans, and really only 300 Spartans basically stayed behind to hold on the lines to allow the Greek troops to retreat. And they did lose, but it was really a great aspect of human courage and determination and respect for their fellow Greeks and honor, really. But in here, the Persians, they are the business, and they're saying, "We want data." And the Spartans, in this case, they are IT, saying no retreat, no surrender. You can get to it easily. But of course, as Piotr points out in this cartoon, there is a secret hidden path that the business can take. And that's the path of the data dictionary. That's the path of the business glossary, the data catalog, that the business now gets empowered with these tools to learn on how to use and where to find the data, what it means, and how they could start accessing it and using it. Did I get that right?
Yes, you got that right, exactly. So yeah, IT are heroes, right? You could say. They protect the data from the business.
Yes, for sure.
And the final goal is peace.
Right.
Yeah.
There's no reason to fight between IT and the business, right? They all should work or do work for a common goal. And that common goal can be achieved a lot easier, better with the help of data.
And also with the help of these cartoons.
Yes.
Yeah, if you put it on the wall in your organization, if you're working in the office, I think that could help IT understand how they can be seen from the other side.
Yes, absolutely. And thank you, thanks Chase for pointing out where you can find the Sherlock cartoon. While you guys are quick and at it, so please go ahead and check this out here. All right, and yes, here's the rest of the links for sure. So we are running out of time, but do let us know which cartoon was your favorite. Keep the comments coming, even if you're watching this in as a replay, as a recording. We're also going to post this on YouTube. It's going to come up most likely over the weekend or the latest on Monday. So please, go ahead and point your friends, your coworkers, your colleagues, your acquaintances to the link afterwards. And yes, I agree, Vivian. The business and data architecture should be two sides of the same coin, and really data management groups in IT in general. So do let us know which cartoon is your favorite. Piotr has many more on his site, and there are many more to come. You can actually sign up for a weekly newsletter, right, where they get a cartoon of the week.
If you go to this website, you can under the cartoon there is a subscribe button. You will get a fresh cartoon every Thursday. So I invite you to under every cartoon if you click the cartoon. So yes, go ahead, sign up, send it to your colleagues, friends. You'll have to click one of the buttons. Yeah.
Yes, I know. I was just trying to showcase the fact that there's so many fun ones. But yes, just subscribe weekly cartoon to your inbox. You're gonna have a chuckle every week for sure.
Yep.
So, and Hanani was also recommending the one with the oracle. So maybe you'll end up doing that one.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, sure. Any ideas are welcome. So I'll be happy to draw something for you.
And thank you so much, Stephanie. I'm glad you did enjoy this pleasant and informative session, as you call it. We appreciate it. And I think, Piotr, just before we head out, there was another great recommendation that I do want to point out here. I'm just trying to find it really, really quickly. Where are you? Yes, I think Vivian was recommending the implementation with the architecture, a cartoon for Winchester House would be good. So maybe that's another idea that you can take on and work your magic with it.
Okay, I'll have a look on those ideas, and sure, maybe I'll draw something. We can have another session showing maybe cartoons which were ideas of your viewers, perhaps.
Oh, that's a great recommendation. So let's have a follow up on that and see. I'm sure we can make something work.
Yeah.
And thank you so much, Piotr, and thank you so much, everybody, for joining in. It's really been a pleasure to be here with you today and go over these cartoons. And I'm looking forward to the next session when we're going to review some more. We're going to, take some from the audience, like you mentioned, maybe present some new ones that you have done. And there's a lot of talk that we can also have on data dictionaries in particular, data catalogs, business glossaries, which is one of my expertise as well. So definitely stay tuned for other shows to come. The next one will be next Tuesday, by the way, at the same time. But next Tuesday, we're going to try something different, somewhat midweek, and we're going to be joined by Scott Taylor, the data whisperer, who does not whisper, by the way. All right, everybody. Thank you
so much.
Thank you so much, Piotr.
It was great to be here. Thanks for the invitation.
Good to have you.
Thank
Have
you.
a good weekend.
You too.
You too. Bye, everybody.
Bye.